Hello and welcome back to another video. Welcome back to another cold day. It's almost -10 today, but here we are out for another comparison. For today's video, we have two vehicles that I believe some of you will think that this is not the right comparison because the X7 is actually more expensive than the Aviator. And I totally understand that because it is true. The Aviator, it's about 20 grand or 15 to 20 grand less than the X7. I went online and started reading about their dimensions and looked into between the X7 and the Navigator for Lincoln. Price-wise, they're almost the same. Dimension-wise, though, they're not the same. I found that the X7 was very close to the Aviator in terms of space, seats. So for example, the Navigator offers you up to 8 seatings. This will get you up to 7, same thing with the Aviator. Now, in terms of the size of the vehicle, the height and so on, I know for a fact because I've had the Navigator for a week that it does not fit in some places. I've been in many places and I had to park the car outside or walk because the Navigator wouldn't fit. Meanwhile, the X7 I've never had an issue with. The same thing with the Aviators. Now, this is a 2020 Lincoln Aviator. The Aviator hasn't been in the market since 2005. They had a production time between 2002, 2003 to 2005. And now they're coming back because back then people didn't want SUVs. They wanted sedans or station wagons. Now they want bigger vehicles, and usually companies go where the market is and what the market wants. This is why BMW decided to bring their own 3-row seater, the X7. Now, some of you will say that the X5 would be the best comparison with the Aviator. If you lift a 3rd-row seat in the X5, you can only fit maybe cans of Cokes, because other than that, it's useless on the rear side. Meanwhile, here, with the 3rd-row seat up, you still get a lot of space, almost as much as you'd get on this one. We'll get into detail once we move on into reviewing this too. I want you to think about this video as not necessarily a comparison, rather an exploration and finding out the differences between the two. It's more like reviewing them individually because I actually haven't reviewed the X7, haven't done a video, but I've driven it a lot. So I left this video for the X7 for today's video because I wanted to see it against the Aviator. For today's video, special thanks goes to our good friends at BMW Performance in St. Catharines, Ontario. They're a BMW dealership located in St. Catharines. The link for their website and Instagram account will be in the description box. You want to find out more about maybe the X7, maybe you want to take it for a test drive. Meanwhile, the Lincoln here is provided to us thanks to Lincoln Canada. This is my 2nd day with the Aviator, and I've enjoyed quite a lot. I found quite a lot of interesting features. I've had a full day with this one as well, and I have driven it previously when it first came out, and I've explored it, so I know quite a lot about both these two vehicles. Now, let us begin and review them, and let's start first with the price and packages and see what they offer and how far they are between each other. The base model for the BMW X7 starts at $92,000. Meanwhile, in the US, because of the exchange rate, of course, and the set prices for that market, the X7 starts at $73,000. Prices changed, of course, based on the model, trim level, engine, and of course the add-ons that you might purchase. The Lincoln Aviator in Canada starts at $75,000, and we only get 2 trims, Reserve and Grand Touring. Meanwhile, in the US, Lincoln offers more packages, but same engine options as Canada. Now, let us move on to the front sides for both vehicles. Well, first of all, there's one thing that you notice right away with the X7, and I'm sure a lot of memes have been made out there thanks to this thing over here, which in person, I must say, doesn't look as bad. Now, if you had to compare it to the Lincoln, well, that's not as big as this. That's more flat all the way through. This, on the other hand, well, it's the signature design for the X7. Massive grills, which have been used in other vehicles like the BMW 7 Series as well. Now, they are functional. So you have this part over here where they open up to get some more air inside. Now, in terms of technology on the front side, so first of all, they both offer LED headlights. They both offer the fog lights located at the bottom. You have the sensors located onto the front bumper on both vehicles. Now, an interesting feature with the design of the headlight with the BMW X7 is that if you see carefully in here, it has a very unique shape and style. It is the only headlight, I would say, that I've seen that has colorful design inside. You can see the blue light across. Beautiful shape, beautiful design. Now, the Lincoln on the other side has its own unique feature. You see, it is equipped with the ambient light, and it has in the front, onto this logo over here, it has a full light to brighten up at night so that you can see around in the front of the vehicle, and it gives it a very unique touch. Now let's move on to the side and let's talk about what do they have in terms of convenience. Well, first of all, they both have keyless entry, and they both offer the application where you can download it onto your phone and unlock the phone and unlock the car from your phone. Now, in terms of extra features and why the X7 is a bit more expensive, well, first of all, in the X7 you get a display key which has quite a lot of features. It also offers on the phone, from your phone, you can download the app for the BMW X7 and basically you can get an extra features where you can actually see on your phone a 360 view of your vehicle. A very, very cool feature. Now onto the side, and let me show you what they offer. First of all, the mirrors are powered. As you can see, this one's already folded. The same thing with the BMW. When you approach both vehicles, they unlock automatically for easy access. A very cool feature on both. Now, the Lincoln does offer you a soft closing option. The same thing on the BMW X7. The Lincoln has sort of like a power handle. So inside the door handle here, you press a button, that way it unlocks and you open. And then if you don't want to close it too hard, basically just softly, and it will automatically close because it offers the soft closing option. Now, the Lincoln offers you an extra feature. Onto the door here, you have a password option where you can put your password and lock the vehicle with the key inside. It also offers a lock feature as well onto this door panel in here, onto the frame, where you can lock, and it has a key in there. It displays a key when you want to lock it or unlock it. A very handy feature. Now, both vehicles are equipped, of course, with the blind spot assist, so both of them have it onto the mirror. The Lincoln has two cars, as you can see, a very similar feature on other vehicles. Meanwhile, the BMW has a triangle which flashes every time it sees an object onto the right or left side of the vehicle. Under the hood, both these vehicles have a 6-cylinder engine. The BMW X7 with a 3-liter inline-6 turbocharged engine that makes 335 brake horsepower, or you can upgrade to a more powerful engine, a 4.4-liter twin-turbocharged V8 that makes 456 brake horsepower. It uses an automatic transmission and, of course, an intelligent all-wheel drive system equipped with an adjustable air ride suspension system. The Lincoln Aviator Reserve model offers a standard twin-turbocharged 3-liter V6 engine that creates 400 horsepower and 415 pound-feet of torque. The Aviator Grand Touring combines a twin-turbocharged 3-liter V6 engine with an electric powertrain. This combination of gas and electric system creates 494 horsepower and 630 pound-feet of torque. It's also equipped with an intelligent all-wheel drive system, an automatic transmission, and air ride suspension system. Now let's move on to the rear side and let's talk about what they offer in terms of technology. Well, first of all, the Lincoln does have the option where basically you slide your foot under. Very typical nowadays to open the trunk so you don't have to work too hard. Now be careful, because when it's icy like this, you could probably hurt yourself like I did later on, but that's okay. That's for another time. This doesn't seem like it has one because I tried a few times and it doesn't seem it has that option. I will say maybe because this one splits in half, the tailgate, but it is of course powered. The same thing onto this side. In terms of technology, they both have LED tail lights, as you can see. The Lincoln, one extra feature is that this entire area is technically a tail light as well, because it lightens up at nighttime. Now this one is split in half onto this side, but the entire design is very similar to the Lincoln Continental, similar design. Now the one that we have for today's video offers you a twin exhaust pipe on each side. Meanwhile, the BMW X7 doesn't have a full twin tailpipe like this one, but you can see over here it's a chrome finish single exhaust tip on each side and one onto that area to give it a more sporty looking onto the rear side, even though these vehicles are pretty much for a family. Now let's move on to the Lincoln. Let me show you what it offers in terms of technology and space. Because the Lincoln, it is equipped with an air suspension system, what it does is that once you open the trunk, well, it basically lowers itself, that way you have easy access. Now, I have already opened it, so it actually lowered itself already, so I don't have to actually do it again. But let me open it up here, and of course you have a switch located onto there, so that you can have easy access through if the sensor underneath doesn't work. Now, keep in mind that for winter time, sometimes the sensor doesn't pick up very well, and that goes for other sensors as well onto the vehicle. Anyways, let me show you, so what do we have in here? Technology side. On the technology side, well, of course, this is powered. The other thing is that you have option onto this area where you can press the buttons in there to actually fold the seat in here. So you don't have to do it manually. You have 3 buttons in there. You can work that out. That way, you don't have to work hard to fold the seats. Now, we do have some space underneath here as well, and that gives you some extra room. Now, next on, let's move on to the BMW X7. Similar to the Aviator, the X7 offers air suspension, right? So basically, when you open the tailgate, it will lower itself to give you better access. Let me open that. There we go. I've already opened it, so it's kind of lowered already, so it won't do the same feature, but I'll show you in an extra video. Now let's move on to this area. So that you can see, as I mentioned previously, the BMW X7 offers you a split tailgate. So basically you have the lower option, and then you have this side as well. Both are powered. You have the switches in here to actually close this. This, of course, is the same thing, with the extra option to press the second button to lower the vehicle. And there we go. So this in here basically gives you extra space. So if you're ever going fishing, or maybe you need this area to put more stuff, you can do so. This is power, so it closes and opens automatically, something that you don't find in the Lincoln Aviator. Now, in terms of technology, onto this area, you have switches for the second row seat and, of course, the third row seat as well. So a very handy feature to have. And you also have this max button, basically, to give you a bit more space. So if you press that, it would automatically fold the seats on the third row. And now it lowered the car a little bit more as well. And it will fold the seats onto the second row seat if you press the max luggage compartment button. So as you can see, now you have a lot more space, but it all happens automatically with the switch of a button. An extra feature that the X7 has that you don't find in the Lincoln. Now, if you press all 4 of them, they will all automatically unfold to the previous position. Here we go. So that's an amazing feature that the X7 offers, which again explains the extra cost added to the X7. Now that was it for in this area. Let me show you what it offers in here. You have the cover underneath, and you have some more space under this area for you to use. Now time to move on to the second row seat. Now let's start first with the BMW X7. Let me show you what it offers in the second row seat and how comfortable it is. Now, onto the second row seat. First of all, there are some major differences between the two of them that I've noticed right away in here. First, you do have power seat for the second row seat. They both offer captain chairs as well. They both offer 7 seating positions. So you can get 3 in here, 2 in there. The Lincoln that we have for the Aviator, the reserve package, it does offer the captain seat. But this one that we have for today's video actually offers you 7, but you can of course get the option for the captain seat. On the rear side, the Lincoln with that package offers you ventilated seats. This, you have to purchase it separately, but it does have heated seats and the climate control onto this area. So they're very similar when it comes to those extra features. Where the X7 goes a bit further is actually onto the door. So you see, this side over here can be open and closed automatically. You have a sunshade. Meanwhile, the Lincoln, you have to do it manually. You can also control the actual shade onto this area, so you can basically close that. You have the actual option. Also, the BMW X7 goes further than that. You see this area here, it offers an actual tablet that can be mounted onto the seat, the same thing on that side. It offers you that option where you can play with the actual screen. It offers some of the features that it has onto the navigation system onto the front. A very handy thing to have for long trips, for kids and so on. It has the lightning charging port as well in there. It offers 2 more at the bottom. Now, in terms of space, I do feel that the second row seats, when it comes to the headroom, well, there's so much room in here. As you can see, the distance between the actual panoramic roof, which this offers, is way bigger than the Lincoln, because the Lincoln, the way it is shaped onto the rear side, it kind of lowers as it moves on to the back. This one is pretty much straight all the way through. Now, the seat in here, it's very nice and comfortable. Of course, you can adjust the recliner and you can adjust the actual seat over here. It offers this beautiful cushion on to the headrest, which is really nice. It has a unique style on the rear. You have beautiful leather with some stitches, and of course you have onto the center here the ventilated area. Onto the side over here we have the armrest. If we open the armrest, you can basically press this button in there, and now you have the actual cup holder. It comes to the design inside here. You feel very comfortable, very large area, nice and very comfy seat. Now this one over here, it is positioned much further back because it was positioned at the beginning that way, but if you want, you can push it more and you still have more space onto the front of the seat. I absolutely love the design on the rear sides, and absolutely love the fact that this offers the power seats. It also offers an extra feature for the extra sunroof that we have onto the rear side, and you can control it through here. A very handy feature, which explains that extra charge that you have for the X7. Now onto the Lincoln, second row seat. The seat in here has to be adjusted manually, and you have the lever located under the seat so you can fix that. You can lower it, so this is the position you're basically stuck in. Now onto this area. First of all, as I mentioned previously, this has the captain chair. So basically you have the armrest onto this for each seat. We have 2 cup holders in here, and you have some extra space. More extra space onto the center, and you have a USB port in here. The Lincoln does offer some climate control units in here. So basically you have the seats where you can turn off and turn on for the heated and ventilated. So this does offer, compared to the BMW, the one that we have currently, this offers you the option for the ventilated and heated seats. On the door panel onto this side, we have only the button for unlock and lock the door, and then you have the button for the actual door to open it. It does have a sunshade as well on both sides, but they are manually adjustable. So you basically just pull it and let it go down. Onto the center in here, you have the unit for the climate control, for the audio. You have all the settings. You can change the display as well. And then you have the climate unit as well. You can change the temperature, the fan speed, and so on. A very handy feature. So I'm just going to turn on the heated seats because it's quite cold outside. If you want to fold this seat to get onto the third row, well, you can do that with the button located at the top, and that way the seat moves forward so that you can get into the third row seat. A very handy feature. Now, in here, we have a panoramic roof. It doesn't offer a third one, but it does offer a beautiful panoramic roof, which you can basically close the shade over here with the button located onto the center. And of course, you can open it as well. Very similar to the BMW X7. So what is the Aviator missing that the X7 has? Well, first of all, it doesn't have any power shades. That's, of course, a vanity thing if people like that kind of stuff. On top of that, the Lincoln doesn't have power seats in here. They're manually adjustable. And on top of that, the Lincoln doesn't give you the option for a tablet in case if you wanted to use such thing. If you didn't care, well, the Lincoln could be your choice. Now, we have covered pretty much everything you need to know onto this side. Let's move on to the front, and let's start first with the X7. I want to show you what it offers in terms of technology, space, and extra convenience features. Okay, so let's talk about what the Beamer offers. Well, of course, it's a luxury vehicle. It offers power seats on both sides. Now, they're both very similar because the seat can be adjusted in the same way as you'd adjust the Lincoln. I mean, you can adjust this part over here. You can adjust the half of the recliner, the bottom of it. You have the extension for your legs as well. You have all the switches onto the side of the actual seat. Meanwhile, the Lincoln offers you onto the door. Now, an interesting feature with the BMW X7 is that you have memory seats for the second row seat as well, which can be controlled from here. So if you set it in a certain position, you can control that from this side for the second row seat. It will move the front seat as well based on the position on the second row seat. So that's a very interesting feature that I've never seen before. What I would have loved, though, is to have an extra feature for this part over here where you can control it on the rear side, but it doesn't offer that option. In terms of the audio system, well, they both have the premium audio system. That is powered by the Revel Media. This one is powered by Harman Kardon, which is, of course, a very good company, produce amazing quality sound. Now, let us move on onto the center here, the driver's cockpit, and let me show you what it offers. So first of all, well, of course, the steering column, it is powered. You can adjust it onto this side. This vehicle is equipped with all the bells and whistles you need. Well, it has the adaptive cruise control with the option to keep you within the lanes to make sure you don't crash and stay right where you need. We'll test it once we take it on the road. The cluster in here, it is digital with the option to display the map as well. On the left side, it offers the speedometer. On the right side is the actual tachometer, so you can see pretty much all the menus. You have all the buttons located onto the steering wheel. We have a heated steering wheel, of course, with the button located in there. Onto the left side, we have all the buttons for the driver system package, which is very intelligent. With the gap assist as well, you can control it from there. The vehicle is equipped with paddle shifters onto the steering wheel if you want to have some fun. Now, onto the center where the cluster is, it does have a camera and a sensor where it picks up. It reads basically your eyes to make sure you don't fall asleep, to make sure that you're awake and aware what's happening around with the vehicle. So that's an extra feature that is offered. Now, both vehicles offer the heads-up display with the option to display the map onto the heads-up display, something that the Lincoln offers as well. Now, they both offer digital screens with the option on the BMW to display the map. Meanwhile, the Lincoln doesn't have that option. Now, let's move on to the center here. Let me show you what it offers in there and compare it a little bit more with the Lincoln. Now, onto the center in here. Well, first of all, this offers that option, basically what you can do instead of touching the screen to raise the volume, you just do this and it basically raises the volume. And then go the other way and it lowers the volume. The other option you have, you can change stations by doing this side, or you can do this side and you change the station. It's a pretty interesting feature to have, and I'm assuming BMW will start using it in the future as well with extra gestures. So you don't actually have to use your hand to raise your volume, to raise the volume in the vehicle. You can do it with these gestures like this, which is very smart. Now, the screen onto the infotainment system, it's a 12.3 inch, which is massive. What you can do is split in half. So let's go into the menu in here, home menu, and you have all the navigation, built-in navigation, of course, Android Auto and Apple CarPlay and so on. It offers amazing technology for the infotainment system that you can use all the settings for the vehicle. So for example, you have personalized menu, you can change that as well. If you keep going on to the right side, you can change those options. Tells you the date as well. Now let's get on to the menu so you can change the position of the screen. It's technically like a full tablet that you can control and adjust and change with that. So let's go on to home. And here we have, and then this is, you can do a full map or you can do a split screen onto the maps. And now you can have the route preview on one side and you have the map on the other side. Now onto the center in here, we have all the climate control unit. This one, you can increase the temperature. This is not touch screen in the center. You have the buttons located onto this area. The seats in the front are heated seats, but they're not ventilated. So in order to get the ventilated option, you have to pay extra, of course. This does offer you the Pro Pilot Assist, where you press the button in there. It's an intelligent safety. Basically, with the sensors and the cameras around the vehicle, it picks up all the objects, so you're always aware. The car mostly is aware of all the objects around, so you don't actually crash into other vehicles. Onto the center in here, well, this is basically the stereo. You have the volume, you can change all that. Now, onto the center in here, the infotainment system. Let's look at some options that it gives. So first of all, you have the settings for the vehicle. You have all your driving modes. You have exterior light as well. You can change all the settings for the exterior light. You have onto this area, you have the carrying car. Basically, it changes the mood of the vehicle. It's quite an interesting feature, and I've seen this one on the 7 Series as well. And then you go on to the driver's profile, of course, and then the experience mode. The experience mode, it changes all the mood inside the vehicle based on the settings that you pick. So you have the well-being, if you want more light inside, if you want to change the ambient light as well, you have the end mode, and you can change the settings as well in there. So you can control all that settings that you have for the seats, the sunshades, the interior light, the temperature, and all that. So it's quite an amazing infotainment system. It's not basic, it's very complicated. Now, here's the crazy part with this model. So with the BMW X7, if you want it, you can basically purchase an ambient fragrance. So what that means is that you can pick between different smells and different aroma as well for the vehicle. So in case if there's a bad smell coming from outside of the vehicle, we don't have to worry about it, because this will spray into the vehicle to avoid that bad smell. So for example, when you drive around and there is that skunk smell, this will completely avoid that. So it's an amazing feature to have. Now onto the center in here, let's move on to this area. Let me show you what it offers and compare it a bit more with the Lincoln. Okay, so first of all, first thing you notice is when you get in with this package, we have the crystal glass shift knob, which the Lincoln only has buttons. It's like a basically like a piano, and it's located onto the center. This one is a proper shift knob, which I personally enjoy very much. This one has the X letter inside, which brightens up and it has a light, but the whole thing is pretty much like a glass crystal style. Very unique feature. Onto the center in here, we have the parking and parallel parking, and it helps you park the vehicle in certain areas. It also learns where you usually park. That way, when you get to that position, it will help you park in and, of course, park out. You have, of course, the start and stop, and you have all the modes here. You have sport, comfort, eco, and adaptive. In adaptive, you can change of course, the settings, and you have the auto hold as well. You have downhill assist, similar to the Lincoln. On the right side, you have all the controls for the infotainment system. You can either change the settings to touchscreen mode, or you can change them with the buttons located in here. And of course, you have the big scroll button, which can go back, left and right, back and forth, and so on. You have the options as well. Into the center in here, we have two cup holders. You have a wireless charging pad located onto the center in there. The cup holders have extra features, of course, and which explains the extra charges for the vehicle, is that if you wanted to keep your cup cold, well, you have the button for both sides. If you wanted to keep it warm, well, you have the button for both sides. A very unique feature to the BMW X7. Onto the armrest, we have some more space in here, and you have a charging lightning port in there. Now, the crystal design of the shift knob continues pretty much on other buttons. You have the start-stop button in here, you have the scroll in there, and you have the volume, which pretty much offers similar designs with that. I very much like it. First saw it, didn't like it very much, but this seems like it's growing on me. And then you have a button here that says park, you can press. Now onto the camera, which is very cool as well. So right now I have it into reverse. So basically you can change the setting on the side, and you can put the camera pointed towards the trail hitch, which this one is equipped. You put into car wash mode as well. It changes the height of the car at the same time. You can see the suspension system in there, and you have the 360 mode. Now, if you want to do the 3D view, what you can do, change the position manually, or you can do that with gestures and basically show you the vehicle, and then keep it like this, and then you go that way, you go this way as well. This is insane. I mean, look at that. The difference is huge. Like, you can see pretty much everything around the vehicle in a 3D mode. Now, the vehicle itself is not technically this one, but it is a 3D version of it. That's the whole point. So you have all these options to work with. Amazing feature, amazing technology. Like, that's just insane. And of course, you can do it through here as well. You can change the camera position because it is equipped with a 360 camera around it. And here you go. You have all that option. Just amazing. Onto this side is showing you that there is an object close to the vehicle, which is technically the Lincoln on that side, and it has it in yellow to warn you in case if you want to move. It does offer you a backup assist as well, and automatic parking as well, similar to the Lincoln. Okay, onto the Lincoln Aviator. First of all, power seats, of course, on both vehicles. Now, the Lincoln does have the seat buttons onto the door panels. You can see in here, and of course it has memory seats as well, but you can't control anything on the rear side. That's the difference with this and the BMW. But you do, of course, have all the other switches here for a window, and of course for the shade as well, and for the mirrors. Now you can lock the windows on the rear side. Same thing. Now this over here only locks the windows. Meanwhile, the BMW locks the doors, the windows, the shades, and the seats as well. So you can't actually move anything if you have kids and you don't want them to play around. Another extra feature that the BMW offers that you can't find in the Lincoln. In here, it does offer you a heads-up display. It offers a digital screen. The screen doesn't have any extra features except the fact that it offers you a tachometer and speedometer, but it is a full digital screen. It doesn't display any map in here. You can display some of that map in their directions mostly. The steering wheel has the paddle shifters onto the actual steering, and the column, it is power. You can adjust it with the button located onto the side. Of course, when you set the memory seat in a certain position, the seat will actually move onto that. And you have a button here for the massage seat as well. You can change all the settings in there. We'll get there once we move to that area. The start and stop button is located at the top. The overall design of the Lincoln is very similar to the Navigator Corsair as well, the knotless as well. The infotainment system is pretty much the same. So technically the car is new, but the inside is carried over from the 2019 models. It is equipped with an audio system powered by Revel Media. If you've never heard of them, they're widely used by a Lincoln. A very nice and crisp sound. Some extra features that the Lincoln has are, for example, the light located at the top doesn't necessarily have a button, so you just touch it and it turns on, and you touch it again and it turns off. You have all the switches in here for the shades in the center, and of course for the roof that you can open, and it is equipped, as I mentioned previously, with a panoramic roof across. It doesn't offer that option that the BMW has, where it has light around the panoramic glass. This is just standard. Now, it does have an ambient light displayed around inside the vehicle, of course, and you can change the colors onto this area. Now, let me show you what it offers in the center. Okay, onto the center in here. Well, first of all, we have a massive screen. It's not a 12.3 inch, but it's big enough to display quite a lot of information. In center in here, we have the buttons for the driving. Of course, you have the reverse, neutral, drive, and park as well. So it doesn't have a shift knob or a scroll option at all. Into this area, we have the camera. So this vehicle is equipped with a 360 camera, similar to the BMW, but it's not a full 3D version like the one that the BMW is. Not as advanced, but it will do the job just fine. And of course, you have the navigate to park and activate park assist as well. So it will help you with parking, and it has all the sensors around it to actually check for objects and so on. You have the driver assistant package. Of course, you have cruise control, lane keep assist, pre-collision assist, speed sign recognition. BMW offers the same technology as well for speed sign recognition for the speed limit as well. You have the rear view camera, trail blind spot option. If you have a trailer for this vehicle, you have hill descent control, trailer sway control. So if you don't know how to pull the trailer or park it, you can basically use that system. You have the driver alert as well. So if you're losing control of the vehicle, it will tell you to take some rest. And the auto start and stop. It has the auto hold as well, and the traction control, which you can change in there. So that's a very handy feature. So they're pretty much similar when it comes to the actual driver assistant package. I have tested this out on the roads. It's very smart, very intelligent. It keeps a very good position off the vehicle, so you're not shifting lane constantly, and it doesn't bounce left and right. It's a very like different from the Ford adaptive cruise control. Now that depends on the package that you pick. You have the blind spot assist as well. Now the infotainment system, let's go back into very standard. If you've been inside a vehicle like 2019 models, the Navigator, the Corsair use exactly the same type of system. You have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and into the vehicle in here you change some of the settings. You have easy entry and exit, alarm system. You can control the windows as well, remote open and close from the remote, key fob, remote start setup as well. You can change the settings if you want the climate control unit to start when you start the vehicle. You can put the duration, the seats, the steering wheel, and so on. You can change all that settings based on the remote fob. You can control it from there. So a very handy feature. Now, not the same key fob that the BMW uses, but you still get some extra features, which is amazing for a car that it's cheaper than the X7. Now let's go back into that. The infotainment system is very intuitive, very smart. It's nothing as crazy as the BMW, but you still get some extra features. Now the vehicle is equipped with massage seats onto the front. This one comes with this package with massage seats. The BMW X7, you must purchase it separately, of course, with an added cost. And you control it in here. You can control the intensity based on if you want full recovery and so on. So it has on the seat and the recliner. And it has for both passenger and driver. I use massage seats quite a lot actually, so I find this to do a great job. The seat itself is amazing as well as design. It's far better than the ones that they have in the Corsair. In the Corsair, they have squeezed the seat from the Lincoln Aviator and they put it into the Corsair with the same design. I find these seats to be far better. Now, how are they different from the BMW? We'll find out that once we take the BMW for a test drive. Now, in here, the infotainment system can change the sound system as well. You have some of that extra features in there, and a Bluetooth connectivity and so on. It does have a built-in navigation system, as you can see, very similar to the older model. It's not updated yet, but it is intuitive and so on. You can't split this screen. You can only have it in this mode, and then you have all the other settings in there. Now, onto this side over here, we have the unit for the climate control and, of course, for the radio as well. Into the center in here, we have a wireless charging pad that is located inside. We have the auto hold button. We have cooling seats and heated seats in the center. You can control from here, and you have heated steering wheel. For the climate control, you can even change the settings for the rear side. So if you press rear in here, you can change, if you don't want the kids in the back to play for it, you can change that option. You have for the third row seat option as well. So if you go into the third row, you have the same thing. Now, you don't have any heated seats on the third row, but you do have, of course, the climate control that you can blow more air, you can increase the fan speed and so on for the third row seat. You can lock that for the second row seat if you don't want kids to play with it. Well, we're pretty much done with reviewing both vehicles on the inside and outside. We've covered a lot of important things between the two of them, what they offer and why is one more expensive than the other one. It's about time to take them for a test drive. Now, I've driven this many times now. I've had it for a couple of days. I've tested out before as well, so I kind of know how it feels inside, but I want to compare something between the two of them. The cabin noise. You see, being luxury vehicles, we want to find out how loud or quiet they are inside. So we're going to take them for the test drive on a highway and find out. Let's go for a test drive. We'll take the X7. Compare this to the Navigator. The Navigator, it is massive. That thing feels huge compared to the X7. Like, I understand price-wise they're very close to each other, but like size-wise, this feels more like the Aviator than it feels like the Navigator. They're almost the same size when you're driving it. Like, even where I'm sitting right now, the position is very similar on both. In the Navigator, I feel like I'm 2 stories high. Like, I've always felt like that, and I've always had a hard time parking that car. Anywhere I went, I had to make sure that it wasn't indoor, because if it was indoors, then it would have been hard to get. Like, we went to a shopping center with my wife, and we had to go inside, and the bar actually touched the roof. That's how high that freaking thing is. So I think the Aviator size-wise would be the closest. Now, price-wise, yes, the Navigator is the closest, but don't forget, the Navigator offers an extra seat, 8 seats in total. This one, on the other hand, you can only get 7. So that's another reason I think that the Lincoln Aviator and this are close to each other. I wouldn't say the same, but close to each other. In terms of the cabin noise, well, we'll do a test. We're going to take it on a highway doing 100 kilometers an hour, which is the speed. We'll do the exact same test for the Aviator, so we don't cheat. Very similar. I have my machine ready. We're going to put it into work, and we'll find out how quiet is this compared to the Aviator. I will say this in advance, without testing them, I don't think they're very far from each other. So that's something to keep in mind. I have turned off the fan because fans usually made a bit of noise. Even if it's like one level, it will still make some noise. So to be fair to both vehicles. We have the number for the BMW X7, and it is on a highway doing 100 kilometers an hour with a bit of a wind today. Just something to notice. 65.1. Come on. It's like the camera doesn't want to. So it is 65.1. Sorry, it's not focusing, but that's what it's giving me right now. It's 65.1. The Lincoln shows 66.9. Come on, it's out of focus a little bit, but yeah, it's 66.9. Now let's talk about this monster, because it is a monster. It's huge. I mean, for a standard SUV, this is big. Now let's put it into sport mode, and let's see how it does. Now, if you want to have some fun, you can get the V8 and go crazy on it, because that thing, it's a beast too. These vehicles are not for performance-driven vehicles. They're family vehicles. That's their job, but they still provide some sort of performance. Like this one has the brake kit, which helps with the braking system. For example, you have the M Performance calipers in the front, single pistons in the back. So that's something to keep in mind. Now the standard on the Aviator is just a single piston. This one, on the other hand, provides that extra feature, which again explains the cost for this car. I do think that the brakes on this, my experience so far, are slightly better, and of course that and performance calipers contributes to that. When it comes to the size, the trunk, and the cargo volume and all that, they're not too far from each other. When it comes to the power for the car that we have for today, this one has less horsepower, of course, than the Aviator, but they're not far off. You can, of course, upgrade to the M50i, X7 M50i, which will give you a V8 engine. Which one would I buy? Well, first of all, I don't want a 3-row seater. I don't need it, but I do think that for the price, the Lincoln could be better if you didn't care about everything else that the X7 offers. You still get the basic technology and a little bit more advanced in the Lincoln. So I think if you wanted to stick with that kind of budget, that's your limit, that you won't go up, then the Lincoln will be your option. If you wanted to spoil yourself with those extra features that the BMW offers, and of course the brand itself, well, I think the X7 is a fantastic option. You got all the cool features you'll ever need and maybe never use, but you still get those, and it justifies the price increase between the two of them. Sometimes I find cars that are the same trim level, same package, whatever you want to name it, not to have similar features and yet are more expensive than the lower model that cost a little bit less, but are part of the same category, part segment. In this case, the BMW X7 justifies the price increase, in my opinion, for what it offers. Anyways, that was it for today. Thanks for watching. As always, don't forget to subscribe. And special thanks for this video goes to BMW Performance, located in St. Catharines, Ontario. The link for their website and, of course, their Instagram, if you want to take this for a test drive, will be in the description box. It will be in the description box. Anyways, that was it. Cheers.